Hey guys, Andy here. Today's matchup is the Xperia X Performance against my own Samsung Galaxy Note 5. To start off, thank you very much to clove.co.uk for the use of the Xperia X Performance. Please go and take a look at the website. Lots of options if you're a UK UK phone purchaser. Go and see what they've got. So, spec-wise, we're looking at the Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 on the Sony with quad-core Cryo CPUs running at 2.15 and 1.6. The Adreno 530 and 3GB of RAM up against the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 with the Exynos 7420 Octa chipset with an octa-core Cortex processors running at 2.1 GHz and 1.5 GHz. The GPU is a Mali T760MP8 and it has 4GB of RAM. So the first test is the fingerprint sensor test, and it's surprisingly hard actually to press them both properly to make sure it gets a good reading at the same time. But I managed to get a few of them in there, and I have to say I think the Sony is marginally quicker, just a slight sort of split second, but it is definitely the faster fingerprint sensor. So well done, Sony. We're going to go into the Angry Birds opening test. Now I've cut out some of the boot sequence. You'll notice the Note 5 is kind of forcing portrait, but that shouldn't affect performance of loading. And the Sony edges through slightly quicker on that one, but it was quite close. I thought, well, I'm going to run it again. And I start to notice, I think, the Sony slowing down. So it's clearly slower into the boot sequence here. And again, I'm going to edit forwards, and we'll see the Note 5 finishing. The Sony not too far behind. So that got me curious. It's kind of 1-1 at this point. I'm thinking, well, actually, I want to run a third one and see how it progresses. So this is all straight on the bounce. Open, close, open, close, open. And the Sony does look to be slowing down. So I think, okay, let's bring in my temperature measurer. And they're both quite warm. The Sony, I mean, it's peaking at 32.5 at some points there. Now, I do remember there being talk about the 820 having problems with heat. So I wonder, is the Sony getting throttled? Because actually, look how much earlier the Note 5 is at this point. So obviously, there's one case for kind of benchmarking and all that kind of thing. But real-world test of opening up a fairly sort of large app showed that in time, the Sony really slowed down. Now, I then went straight onto the benchmark, which might be unfair if the Sony's a bit hot. So we leap forward, and it did score less. I've seen it score 5,400, I think, in the other video I did against the LG G5. So clearly, it was still suffering some from the throttling effect. But actually, so is the Samsung, because that's coming at 4.6, and I've had that scoring kind of 4.9, 5,000s. So both of them seem to write about 400 points with me doing it straight after the app opening. But the Sony, the clear winner. We head outside to test the GPS. I've got a lock on both of them, and I'm going to try and reset both of them and get out. And then go back in. You see, I struggled a bit with the Samsung, but to be honest, it doesn't seem to, I don't know, it has some way around me resetting the GPS data. It still has the lock. So the test is almost not worth doing with the Note 5 as one of the sides, but the Sony was plenty quick enough. Onto the speaker. Let's see.
Tell me where to go, tell me what to do. I'll be right there for you. Tell me what to say, tell me what to do. I'll be right there for you. Tell me what to say, no matter if it's true, I'll say it all for you. I'll say it all for you, for you.
Like a light bulb just lit up in my conscience. What about them rhymes I've been jotting? They're kinda giving me confidence instead of trying to escape through my comics. Why don't I just confidence instead of trying to escape through my comics? Blast a little something like Onyx to put me in.
So the Sony has stereo speakers, but they're really quite poor. Well, they're very quiet anyway. Let's try with the spoken voice and see if it does any better.
essentially gave organizations like GCHQ and the NSA a free rein to go do mass surveillance. It also essentially gave organizations like GCHQ and the NSA a free rein to go do mass surveillance. It also overturned a lot of the rules and laws. And now we're in the situation where people are clamoring. So overturned a lot of the rules and laws. And now we're in the situation where
social network providers and search engine providers are being overwhelmed. And search engine providers are being overwhelmed, quite frankly, with inquiries about.
So for me, the Note 5 is the clear winner. I mean, it's not an amazing speaker, but it is better than the Sony's. It really quite disappointing. Stereo speakers are fairly quiet and not even sound all that good particularly. I'm going to move on to the screen test, screen brightness test even. So I'm going to turn off any adaptive brightness or auto brightness, and then open up my pure white screen. Get out my light detector, and we can see the Sony 689. I saw its brightest there. That looks to be the best it's going to do. Over to the Samsung, and we're up into the mid 800s. So both pretty good screens, but Samsung's clearly brighter at full blast, so to speak. So that round is handed to the Note 5. I shall move on to the Chrome browser test. I'll start off obviously by clearing data on both devices. I'm going to load 3 different web pages. The first one will be the BBC website. I'm going to try and tap at the same time, and we'll see how they get on. It does look like the Sony is slightly quicker on the BBC website. Only a very small amount between them. Both of them seem very smooth. I shall move on to the second website, being nfo.com. And it looks like a similar result. Clearly the Sony. Note 5's got some weird old ads loading up down the side there, but the Sony's won the first two. I'll do the last site anyway. Excuse me. I can't imagine loading websites will overheat the Sony, so we should see a similar result. Oh, well, I think it goes to the Sony still, but it was actually losing a bit of ground there to the Samsung at one point. I thought it might sneak through. So there we have it. The Sony won the browser test, definitely. 2 top-end devices, one from Sony, one from Samsung, both pretty beautiful devices. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions from the evidence that I've shown you. I would say once again, thank you to clove.co.uk. Go and check them out. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.